At a life-changing ceremony, a girl kisses a hidden beggar revealed to be the incredible Alpha K. Mia's heart raced as the harvest festival loomed closer. She stood in the town square, surrounded by bustling vendors setting up colorful booths. The aromas of caramel apples and fresh-baked pies wafted through the air, a sweet distraction from the anxiety wrapping around the community like a heavy cloak. The festival was supposed to be a celebration, but whispers filled the air about the local community center, once a beacon of hope, now threatened with closure due to misguided policies. For families who relied on those services, the decision was like a door slamming shut. But Mia had a dream, a bakery filled with laughter and flour-dusted counters. She envisioned it every day, hidden beneath her determined spirit. Her mom, Sarah, worked 2 jobs, yet every evening they'd bake together, the kitchen bursting with warmth and the smell of chocolate chip cookies, reminders of joy in hard times. Mia's kindness radiated, but now she felt hopeless as the town spiraled. Amidst this, rumors of a man called Alpha K swirled. He lived on the town's outskirts, rumored to be down and out but possessing an air of mystery that intrigued Mia. The townsfolk called him a vagabond, a shadow they preferred to ignore. But Mia couldn't shake the notion that there was more to him. One sun-soaked afternoon, she found him sketching. The way his pencil danced on the paper unveiled a beauty she'd never witnessed before. "Why do you care to create?" she asked, surprising herself with her boldness. Alpha K looked up, his dark eyes compelling. "'Cause even when life gets hard, there's always art." His voice was soft yet powerful, wrapping around Mia like a comforting embrace. Weeks passed, filled with secret meetings and stolen moments of laughter. Alpha K shared stories of his past, a successful businessman struck down by a series of misfortunes. Mia learned he was a man of depth and resilience, not just the whispers of the town's shadows. As the festival drew near, her feelings for him grew a tangle of admiration and hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Everything climaxed at the ceremony. Eyes glued to the podium, anticipation crackled in the air. Names were called, accolades shared, and then Alpha K's name. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The town teetered on the edge, glaring at him as if he were a ghost. Their judgments were heavy, but Mia's heart soared. In a moment of courage, her feet moved before her brain caught up. She stepped forward, the world fading away as she kissed him, her lips sealing the truth of her belief. Shock swept through the spectators like wildfire. Some clapped, others gasped in horror. But in that instant, Mia's spirit ignited with purpose. Would her daring act help heal the rift, or deepen the divide? As she pulled back, the air hung heavy with tension and hope. Mia, nestled next to Alpha K, understood. Battles for acceptance were just beginning. Would their little town emerge transformed, or remain shackled by fear? As she prepared to speak, her heart pounded. Would the community see Alpha K for who he truly was, or would they let their biases win the day? Mia's voice trembled as she took a step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. The townspeople watched, their expressions a wild mix of shock and curiosity. She had never been one to stand in front of a crowd, let alone challenge their beliefs. But something deep inside her urged her on, a voice that echoed the belief she had in Alpha K. "Everyone," she began, glancing at Alpha K, whose gaze was steady and encouraging. "I know you see him as the beggar, the shadow on the edge of our town. But he is so much more than that. Alpha K is an artist, a survivor, and a person deserving of our kindness." Her words hung in the air, sparking whispers among the crowd. Some murmured in disbelief, others in agreement. Mia pressed on, her passion fueling her courage. "He shared his dreams with me. He showed me his art, and I saw the beauty that reflects our struggles and hopes. We can't let our past mistakes color our future. A voice from the back shouted, "But he's just a nobody. How can we trust him?" Mia's throat tightened. Was that what they thought of him? A nobody? Everyone has a story. Everyone has worth. She shouted back, fury and sadness blending in her heart. Why should we measure a person's value by their current situation? We all fall. What matters is how we rise again. The energy shifted. Alpha K's presence beside her seemed stronger, his eyes shining with something more. Gratitude. Hope. Empowerment. He stepped forward, breaking the silence that had settled over the crowd. I may not have the title or shiny resume you expect, but I am still a part of this community. I have loved and lost, and I have fought for dreams that matter. Mia felt a swell of pride as Alpha K spoke. His words, filled with conviction, ignited murmurs of agreement from unexpected corners. A woman in the front row looked down, tears in her eyes as she glanced between Mia and Alpha K. He cleared his throat, continuing, "We can build something together. This town can rise, just as I am rising from my own ashes. But we need each other." A ripple of recognition spread through the crowd. For the first time, people started looking at Alpha K not just as a shadow but as a fellow human being who had faced challenges and still dared to dream. Mia caught the eye of her mother, Sarah, who stood among a group of friends. Understanding flickered across Sarah's face, transforming into quiet acceptance. Hope surged through Mia. She thought of her bakery dream nestled within her. What if Alpha K brought that dream to life? Perhaps they could collaborate, a fusion of love, art, and nourishment. The idea blossomed a fresh vision for their town, a testament that anything was possible if people chose to believe. Then came the sound of a guitar strumming in the distance. Chatter grew louder, laughter floating through the square. The festival was alive again. Mia and Alpha K exchanged glances, an unspoken promise enhancing the air around them. But as the enthusiasm swelled, Mia felt a weight on her chest. What if this moment wasn't enough? What if the community, though moved, slipped back into its old ways? As the music continued, she turned to Alpha K, her voice barely audible amidst the cheering crowd. What happens now? Alpha K held her gaze, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. We take it one step at a time. But this celebration, it's just the beginning. With that, Mia knew a new chapter was beginning, but it was also marked by questions. Would they be able to keep the momentum going? Did the townsfolk have the courage to change? The future felt bright yet daunting, a blend of hope and doubt. And as she looked back at the crowd, she couldn't help but wonder, what new challenges awaited them all? Mia felt a gentle tug on her sleeve. She turned, surprised to find her mother standing beside her, a hesitant smile on her face. "What you did today," Sarah started, her voice shaky with emotion. "It was brave, Mia. You didn't just speak for him. You spoke for all of us." Mia tried to respond, but the words caught in her throat. Her heart swelled as a wave of raw pride washed over her. To think her own mother, who had always held tightly to traditions, now stood open to change. It felt like stepping onto an unsteady bridge over a rushing river. "Thank you for believing in him," Sarah continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can see now there's more to him than we realized." Mia glanced back at Alpha K, who stood watching them with a gentle smile. His presence radiated warmth, illuminating even the darkest corners of the square. The air crackled with something both electric and hopeful, stitching their divided community together, one heart at a time. But the joy had a bittersweet edge. She turned back to her mother, eyes brimming with unspoken questions. "Do you think they'll stay changed? Will this community really see him as one of us now?" "Change doesn't happen overnight, sweetie," Sarah replied, brushing stray hair from Mia's face. "But you sparked something important today. Just keep the conversation going." With a deep breath, Mia nodded, the enormity of their task settling on her shoulders. She hadn't just taken a stand for Alpha K, but for every overlooked soul in their town. She envisioned that bakery inside her head again, its warm scent filling the air, people gathering around tables to share stories and laughter. It was bold. It was filled with love just like the message she had shared. Suddenly, the crowd erupted in a heartfelt cheer. Mia turned to see Alpha K, his arms raised high, soaking in the appreciation and admiration of the townsfolk. He looked almost like a painter revealing a masterpiece, strokes of color unfurling around him. He had become more than just a figure. He was the embodiment of their hopes. "Let us create something together," Alpha K shouted, his voice booming with passion. "A way for us to connect, to heal." Mia's breath hitched. There it was, the spark igniting a wildfire of possibility. Was this community really ready to embrace a new way of being? She watched subtle shifts in the crowd. Neighbors began to talk to one another, some even reaching out to Alpha K, extending their hands for a longer conversation, the beginnings of connection forming. But then Mia spotted a figure lingering at the edge, a familiar face overshadowed by doubt. Tyler, a childhood friend who had always been the cool kid, stood watching with a scowl etched across his features. Would he be convinced? He'd been a whisper of negativity in the past, the guy who sided with the skepticism. Mia's heart sank. What if voices like his could drown theirs out? She stepped toward him, a determination flooding her veins. She needed to reach him. "Tyler," she called, her voice strong but shaking with urgency. She began to weave her way through the crowd, feeling the weight of their eyes on her. As she approached him, Tyler crossed his arms, an impenetrable wall. "You really think they're gonna accept him? They're starting to, because we're giving them a reason to. Don't you see?" Mia responded, her heart racing. "Change is messy, but that doesn't mean it's not worth fighting for. It's not just about Alpha K. It's about all of us." His brows furrowed in thought, but just as Mia felt a glimmer of hope, an unexpected sound pierced the air, a loud crash, shattering the moment, and drawing all eyes toward the far corner of the square. "What now?" she whispered, dread curling in her stomach. The crowd turned as a rumble of discontent surged. Was there resistance lurking just beneath the surface? Would they be met with open arms or closed doors? Mia's heart raced as she braced herself for whatever came next. The future felt like a storm brewing on the horizon. Would they rise to meet it, or would fear send them tumbling back into the shadows? The crash echoed across the square, reverberating in Mia's chest. Her pulse quickened as she turned to see what had caused the disruption. A cart lay overturned, colorful fruits spilling onto the cobblestones like forgotten dreams. The townsfolk hurried to gather the fruits, a flurry of anxious chatter filling the air. But amid the chaos, Tyler's expression morphed, the skepticism replaced by something more complicated: fear. "This could get out of hand," he muttered, glancing around as if expecting another calamity. Mia understood his concern. The fragile unity built in that moment was now threatened, just like that cart's contents scattered across the ground. She took a step closer, feeling an urge to reassure him. "It's okay, Tyler. Watch how they come together." Before she could finish, two townsfolk, old friends in the community, squatted by the cart, laughing and joking as they helped each other pick up the fruit. Mia felt a flicker of warmth in her chest, a reminder that sometimes chaos could lead to connection. But Tyler seemed unmoved, his arms still crossed and his jaw clenched. "See?" she pressed, willing him to look past the surface. "They're learning to talk to each other, to help one another." But his gaze turned away, focused on the edges of the crowd, where dark shadows lurked. What if it's just a facade? You know how people are. They'll turn on him and you just wait. Mia sighed, frustration bubbling up. Change takes time. You of all people should know that. Just then, Alpha K stepped forward, still glowing from their earlier connection. He knelt beside the fallen cart, offering a hand to the elderly vendor. "Let us share what we have," he exclaimed, gathering fallen fruits into his arms. "Today we're not just neighbors, we're family. And family sticks together." The crowd shifted, excitement rippling like a wave. The murmurs died down as they watched him, captivated by the sincerity in his voice. There was something genuine about him, something that transcended social barriers. Mia felt the corner of her mouth lift. See? They're responding to him. This is the change we've been talking about. Tyler remained skeptical, but the uncertainty in his eyes began to soften. Maybe, suddenly, someone in the crowd yelled, "Look, here comes the mayor." Heads turned toward the entrance to the square. Mayor Thompson, known for his stern demeanor, walked with purpose. He was flanked by some local council members, each wearing expressions of seriousness. Mia felt a wave of dread sweep through her. Had they come to shut this down? As the mayor stepped closer, the once joyful atmosphere bristled with tension. People stood straighter, murmurs rising again, uncertain of what this meant for Alpha K. "Greetings. May I have your attention, please?" Mayor Thompson's voice boomed, commanding the crowd. The chatter fell silent. Mia's heart raced. Would they support her? Or would they dismiss Alpha K, tearing through the promise of community they had just begun to weave? She felt the weight of the moment pressing against her chest. Tyler leaned in close, the lines of tension still etched on his face. "What's he gonna say?" "I don't know, but we can't back down now," Mia whispered, her hope hanging by a thread. "People of this town," the mayor continued, "today we address not just a moment of excitement but an opportunity for growth. I've heard what's at stake. I think it's time we acknowledge that this community needs healing. We can create a place where everyone belongs." Mia's heart soared. Hope swirled around her like the warm sun breaking through a storm cloud. But just as she thought they might get the endorsement they needed, a voice shouted from the back. "Nah, let us not kid ourselves. We can't trust him." Mia's stomach dropped. The shadow of doubt loomed larger than ever, threatening to smother the flame they had ignited. But she couldn't give up. "Not now. Together we can make this work," she called out, her voice ringing with urgency. "Let us build a community where fear doesn't silence our voices." The crowd turned back towards her, murmurs shifting, but the energy pulsed with uncertainty. Would her passion break through, or was the shadow of doubt too heavy to lift? As the tension thickened like fog, Mia wondered, could they unite against this pushback? Would they arm themselves with hope, or would they retreat to safety? Everything hung in the balance, the moment teetering on the edge, waiting for someone to take the leap. And just then, with the challenge in the air, Mia felt a flicker of determination rise within her. Would this be the moment that changed everything? Mia's heart drummed in her chest as the crowd's murmurs turned into a mixture of hope and discontent. She locked eyes with Tyler, sensing the doubt still shadowing his face. It gripped her. They stood together on that precipice, two voices amid a chorus of uncertainty. The stakes felt monumental, but Mia was determined to nudge them toward a vision of unity. "I believe in this," she said softly, her voice steady despite the chaos. "I believe in us." Just then, another voice cut through the tension, the elderly vendor who had been helped by Alpha K. "Everyone," he said, his voice quaking but resolute. "I've been struggling for years, alone. But today, when Alpha K stepped forward, I felt seen, supported." He gestured toward Alpha K, who nodded encouragingly. Mia felt a flicker of hope as more townsfolk began to rise up, sharing their stories. A woman who had once been shunned stepped forward. "And I too have known isolation, but today, I felt the warmth of connection. Together we can lift each other up." Encouragement surged within the crowd as they started to find their collective voice. But at the back of the group, the disbeliever raised a significant point once more. "A pretty speech doesn't cover the cracks. What have you done to earn my trust?" His challenge shattered the budding unity like glass. Tyler's shoulders stiffened. They'll never trust him, not really. His voice was low, and for a heartbeat, Mia felt the air grow heavy. But she needed to be brave, needed to rise above the doubt that threatened to ensnare them all. "Trust comes from action, not words," she replied, her heart urging her to fight for the truth of the moment. "Let us show them we can be different. We have to take that leap for our community." She found herself stepping forward, determined to prove that even the tiniest act of kindness could ripple out and create waves of transformation. "Alpha K," she called out, the urgency deepening her tone. "Can we lean into this together? Show them we can change the narrative? With a calm assurance, Alpha K approached the edge of the crowd, a beacon in that swirl of emotions. I may not be from here, but I feel your pain. I want to help. Together we can make this place thrive. Will you let me? Mia saw something raw ignite in the crowd's collective heart, a tentative flicker that brightened the more they listened. Faces softened. Uncertainty began to morph into curiosity, perhaps even acceptance. They were on a precipice, leaning one way or the other. Just as Lennon, the once skeptical voice in the back, hesitated, a young boy tugged at his sleeve. Will you help us, sir? The boy's wide, hopeful eyes seemed to reflect the community's longing for something better. The very innocence in his question wrapped itself around Mia's heart. Mia's breath caught. We're all just looking for a place to belong, she added softly, her heart aching with empathy. Let us try to create that for each other. There was a moment of silence. She could almost hear the crowd's collective breath held tight. It was as if the air grew thick with unspoken hopes and frayed dreams, intertwining them in this shared moment of vulnerability. But then, as the mayor stepped up again, his serious expression signaled his intent to intervene further. What if we hold a ceremony? A place for all voices to be heard, to lift each other up? Mia's heart ignited again with possibility, though deep down, she sensed the shadows lurking. Would they truly embrace the idea? Would they be willing to take the plunge? Just then, from the fringes of the square, an ominous figure flickered into view. The town's cynic, Margaret, known for her sharp tongue and sharper glare, appeared, a tight smile stretching across her face. What are you all so excited about? She said, mockery lacing her tone. Unity, with a beggar leading the charge? The crowd's energy flickered, the weight of her doubt pushing back against the swelling tide of hope. Mia swallowed hard. The moment hung between fear and aspiration, a fragile balance hanging by threads. As Alpha K turned towards Margaret, ready to respond, Mia couldn't shake the oppressive anxiety clouding the air. Everything felt unsettled, raw. Would Margaret's darkness snuff out their light before its moment to shine? Suddenly, the ground trembled with uncertainty, and Mia felt the weight of the choice before them. This was it. A turning point so delicate that she could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the townsfolk. What if they could prove Margaret wrong? What if they could show the power of community through real action? But would they? Mia caught a glimpse of Alpha K's expression, confident yet wary. Could the truth that lay beneath the surface be powerful enough to push them over the edge into unity? And as she looked into the faces of her neighbors, she understood. The next few moments could change everything, or nothing at all. Mia's heart raced as she faced the crowd. Each person there held a piece of her story, woven intricately into the fabric of the town. The challenge had been thrown down. Margaret's words hung thick in the air, like smoke obscuring a ray of sunlight. Alpha K stood tall, but Mia could see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. She took a deep breath and stepped closer to him, closing the gap that felt miles wide. Determination surged within her. She knew they had to respond, to push back against the tide of skepticism. Margaret, Mia began, her voice steady, you may see Alpha K as a beggar, but that's not who he is. He is a man with a vision, just like any one of us. She glanced around, meeting the wary eyes of the townsfolk. What we need is courage, not disdain. We need to embrace change, even if it starts with small steps. The crowd murmured, uncertainty rippling through them. She moved her gaze from Margaret to the vendors, the parents, the lonely teenagers, all searching for belonging. Our town has a chance to rewrite its story, to heal. Don't you all crave that? In that moment, Alpha K turned to Mia, a mix of gratitude and determination crossing his features. He stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. If you allow me, I can show you what we can achieve together, he said, his voice resonant and filled with hope. But it must come from all of us. We can't let fear dictate our future. Margaret scoffed, crossing her arms. And why should we trust you? Words won't fix years of neglect. The crowd wavered, some nodding in agreement, while others seemed drawn to Alpha K's sincerity. Mia felt anger boiling inside her. She had spent too long fighting for acceptance, for the hope of change. We've all been neglected, she shot back, her voice rising above the murmurs. But it's time to turn that neglect into action. We can't dwell on the past forever. The crowd shifted again, some glancing at each other with renewed energy. She saw the fear in Tyler's eyes turning into something more cautious optimism. Let us hold a ceremony, she proposed, feeling the pulse of the moment. A place where we can share our stories, where all voices are honored. Can't just be about talking, we need to create something tangible. Show that community is built through shared experiences. The silence that fell over the square felt electric. Mia could sense a collective breath being held, waiting for the first spark. A ceremony, someone echoed, tentatively from the back. Yes, Mia urged, her heart swelling. Let us commit to this together. Let us show the world we're ready for change. Slowly, a few clap, then more and more joined in, like wildfire igniting across the crowd. The energy shifted, and Mia could feel the pulse of unity begin to beat stronger. Yet, above the applause, Margaret's cold laugh rang out like a bell tolling. Ceremonies don't change lives, girl, she called out, smirking. They're just fancy gatherings. Real change takes more than good intentions. A knot formed in Mia's gut, but she would not back down. You're right, Margaret. Real change takes commitment, but it starts with believing in each other. Can't you see? This is our chance. And in the glow of her passion, Mia noticed Lennon stepping forward, his brow furrowed but determination palpable. I'm in, he stammered, surprising everyone. If there's a way to bring us together, I want to be a part of it. Eyes lit up around the square as more voices joined in, each person finding their courage to stand, to declare their support. Hope hung heavy in the air, a palpable force pressing against the shadows. But just as the tide began to turn, an urgent whisper ran through the crowd. The mayor stood, his brow knitted, genuine concern etching deep lines on his face. We need a plan. This requires more than just words. Mia's mind whirled, ideas forming like bright sparks in the dark. Then let's come together. We can meet after the ceremony. We can plan how to keep this momentum going. Together we can build something real. As the buzz swelled, she stole a glance at Alpha K, whose expression had shifted from uncertainty to resolve. It dawned on her that in bringing the community together, she was also weaving their paths together. But through the excitement, she heard Margaret's voice pierce the air once more, colder than before. What if this all fails? What will you say to the boy who asks for your help? What if I'm the one who is right? The question hung heavy and penetrating. Mia's heart raced again, uncertainty clawing at her. Could they truly find a way through the expected shadows? Or was it all built on fragile hopes? With her heart beating steadily in her chest, she returned to the crowd, seeking their gaze, knowing, somehow, their answers lay in the unity they fought to forge and the willingness to embrace change. But the next challenge stood glaring before them. The air buzzed with energy, but uncertainty still loomed like a storm cloud overhead. Mia could almost feel it pressing down on her, intensifying with each heartbeat. She glanced at Alpha K, who stood resolutely by her side, and felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. Their community was on the brink of something monumental, but fear and doubt were its relentless shadows. Mia, Alpha K said softly, catching her attention. You're doing great, but what if we don't know where to start? She met his gaze, finding strength in those deep-set eyes. Then we start by believing in ourselves. It's about breaking the cycle of doubt, not letting it define us. The crowd edged closer, curiosity mingling with skepticism. Margaret's voice still echoed in Mia's mind, like an unwanted melody. What if they did fail? What if all this hope was just a mirage? The thought hit her bold and bright. Let us think of a theme for our ceremony, she called out, raising her voice to connect with each person. What do we want this day to represent? The crowd paused, exchanging glances. Then, a voice broke through, hesitant but clear. Unity, someone shouted from the back. Exactly, Mia exclaimed, a surge of adrenaline fueling her. Unity, and healing. We can turn our shared experiences into something beautiful. Hope. Another voice chimed in, echoing the sentiment. Mia's heart swelled. Hope, she repeated, feeling the word resonate in her bones. She sensed a shift. Voices grew stronger, inviting others to join in. As the crowd began to brainstorm, Alpha K moved closer, his presence grounding. You really believe in this, don't you? He whispered. Yes, she replied, her voice steady. I believe in us. In a corner of the square, she noticed Lennon rallying a group of kids, urging them to brainstorm ideas for the ceremony. They began to chatter excitedly, their youthful enthusiasm contagious. Mia smiled as he got them to form small groups, each one brainstorming different aspects of the ceremony. Decorations, music, stories to share. But amid the burgeoning excitement, a shadow darted across her mind. Margaret, sitting back, observing. Mia turned her head, trying to gauge the older woman's reaction. There was a flicker of something, a hint of surprise mixed with annoyance. Margaret hadn't expected this. Smiles don't build bridges, girl, Margaret shouted again, breaking into the spells of hope and creativity. What about the aftermath? When the excitement fades, and the reality sets in, can you face the failures to come? Mia clenched her fists, but a wave of calm rushed over her. Failures are just markers on the road to success, Margaret. What matters is that we try together. The murmurs of the crowd transformed into a chorus of agreement. Together, they echoed, growing louder and more confident. Mia let herself bask briefly in the warmth of the moment, but doubts threatened to creep back in. Her heart danced on the edges of hope and fear, battling silently inside her. Their intentions were good, but would they hold against the turbulent winds of judgment? And just as the momentum thickened, a sudden flash of movement caught her eye at the edge of the square. A tall figure stepped forward, draped in shadow, seemingly uncertain. The crowd gradually parted, revealing an unexpected presence. What's going on here? The voice was firm yet curious. It was the mayor, and his appearance was commanding. We're planning a ceremony to bring everyone together, Mia called out, her heart racing again with both excitement and apprehension. The mayor raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued. And what does this ceremony aim to accomplish? Is this a step toward real change? The atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Mia's pulse quickened as she prepared to answer. She sought the eyes of her friends, their trust wrapping around her like a cloak. Together, we create a new narrative, she replied, drawing strength from the warmth of their unity. A narrative where every voice matters. A real change. Before the mayor could respond, Margaret interjected with scorn. And when it all falls apart, Mia, what then? Will you still gather everyone and hope? What happens when the boy asks what happened to hope? Her words lashed at Mia like a stinging wind. Doubt pressed heavily against her, but a fire ignited within the kind you only find when you believe something is worth fighting for. Tension hung like static in the air, and the ground beneath them shifted. Could she turn the winds of doubt into a gale of hope? As the crowd waited, the string of their combined voices beckoning for leadership, Mia felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. What would happen when the ceremony began? Would the stories finally break the chains of fear, or would they echo in the void? The flicker of uncertainty stilled her resolve, but a spark of determination ignited within. What was the truth waiting to be revealed once they stepped forward together? Mia's heart raced as the mayor's gaze shifted from her to the crowd, weighing their hopeful expressions against Margaret's critique. She could feel the heaviness of expectation in the air, a palpable tension that threatened to suffocate them all. But she couldn't allow that to happen, not now, not when they were so close. What do you say, folks? Do you want to hear about this new narrative? The mayor asked, his voice strong but underlaid with curiosity. The crowd erupted in low murmurs, a soft thunder of excitement replacing the tension, and Mia seized the moment. Together, we have a story worth sharing, she said, her voice rising above the crowd. We are not alone in our struggles, and if we face them as one, if we really listen to each other, we can heal. She could feel Alpha K's presence at her side, a steadying force. Let us create a space where we all feel safe to express our pain and our joy, she pressed, her words wrapping around the crowd like a warm blanket. A place where every single one of us is valued. Lennon, still energized by the idea, chimed in from the back, and we can have a parade to celebrate our diversity. We can make banners, paint faces, have music. His enthusiasm felt electric, sending ripples through the audience. Mia's heart swelled at the sound of laughter and chatter that began to fill the square. They discussed everything from decorations to stories they could share, plans tumbling out faster than she could absorb them. But even as elation lit her heart, Margaret's sneer lingered in the background, an unwelcome reminder that not everyone felt the same. Can we really do this? Mia thought, glancing around at the group. Anxiety knotted her stomach as she imagined the possibility of failure. But the chorus of voices filled with excitement and creativity pushed that fear aside. The mayor leaned forward, intrigued. You believe this will lead to real change? Mia took a deep breath, her resolve surging anew. Yes, because change starts from within. If we can unite, even in our small community, we can inspire others. Suddenly, a quiet voice piped up. But what if it isn't enough? What if we fail? Mia turned to see a shy boy standing near the front. She recognized him as Sam, a quiet soul who often went unnoticed. Sam, that fear is normal, she said gently. But think about this, what if we don't try? What if we let fear win? His eyes widened, the flicker of uncertainty still present. But something in her tone seemed to resonate with him. She saw the wheels turning in his mind, and she smiled encouragingly. The murmurs of doubt began to shift, replaced by humor and vibrant ideas. As she watched them, Mia felt that spark of community igniting a flame within her. This was what they were fighting for, a chance to share their voices. And just as the mood began to lift, a loud crack echoed from the street beyond the square. It was followed by the sound of hurried footsteps, then a shout. Help! Someone call for Mia wheeled around, her heart pounding. The light-hearted chatter evaporated. People turned to look, anxiety replacing their earlier excitement. The mayor appeared tense, his eyes scanning the unfolding scene. A figure stumbled into view, disheveled and panting. But as he drew closer, Mia's heart sank. It was a person they all recognized, one of the town's hidden souls. A homeless man often seen lurking in the shadows. He had never approached the square before. What is it? Mia stepped forward, concern flooding her voice. They're coming. His words were gasping, overwhelmed with urgency. Before Mia could ask for clarification, the murmurs of the crowd erupted again. Confusion swept through them as everyone exchanged worried glances. And in that instant, the boy she remembered from earlier, Sam, began to tremble. Mia's pulse raced as trepidation filled the square. What did he mean? Who was coming? As the tension mounted, an unfamiliar realization settled in. The challenge they were about to face wasn't just within their community. It was coming from outside. Would their unifying ideals withstand this looming threat? Or would they falter under the weight of unexpected turmoil? The stakes were higher than she had imagined, and doubt loomed closer than ever. But just as she felt herself begin to waver, she recalled their collective strength, their voices melding together, filling the square with hope. With resolve tightening in her chest, she took a step forward, ready to confront the unknown. What awaited them in the shadows beyond the square? And how would the community respond when faced with a reality they had managed to avoid for so long? Mia's breath caught in her throat as the disheveled man stumbled closer, panic etched on his face. The crowd had gone silent, every anxious gaze fixed on his trembling form. Who was coming? What danger lurked just beyond their small, hopeful gathering? Who's coming? Please, tell us, Mia urged, her voice steadier than she felt. She stepped closer, trying to convey calmness in the chaos swirling around them. They're not from here. They're not friendly. The man's voice trembled, each word soaked in urgency. His eyes darted around the square, looking as if he expected shadows to pounce at any moment. A ripple of fear swept through the crowd. The warmth of unity they had begun to build began to fray at the edges, uncertainty surfacing as people shared nervous glances. Sam, the boy who had spoken up earlier, had gone pale. His small hands gripped the edges of his shirt, as if holding on to something that might keep him anchored. Mia's heart raced, but she couldn't let fear take over. "Listen to me," she called out, raising her hands to capture everyone's attention. "We're stronger together. Whatever comes, we can face it if we stand united." Just then, the mayor stepped forward, the lines on his face deepening with worry. "What do you mean by not friendly? Are they dangerous?" He pressed the man, his voice commanding but tremulous. The crowd leaned in, breath held tight in their chests. The homeless man's expression shifted. It was as if he wrestled with a truth too heavy to bear. "They don't care about your stories. They don't care about anyone. They just want to break." Mia's heart plummeted. Take what? Their voices? Their unity? She glanced at Alpha K, who remained steady, though his presence felt more intense, more like a silent guardian now. It bolstered Mia's spirit, urging her to take charge. "We need to prepare," she shouted, her voice breaking through the anxious buzz. "Let us come together and discuss how we can protect each other. Let us plan what we need to do if they really come here." But even as she spoke, doubts wormed their way back into her mind. What were they really up against? She couldn't shake the feeling that this threat was more than just a physical danger. The true challenge might be the fractures it could cause between them. As people began to murmur ideas again, trying to recapture that sense of community, one woman shouted from the back, "We can't let them win. We won back down." Mia felt a surge of hope at her words. "Exactly," she exclaimed. "We must stand tall. Whatever comes our way, we face it together." But the man's eyes were still wide, filled with a tangled mix of fear and urgency. "You don't understand," he cried, shaking his head vigorously. "They won't stop until they tear you apart." Just then, a faint rumble echoed through the street, growing closer with each heartbeat. Mia felt the ground beneath her feet shudder slightly. The crowd murmured uneasily again, some instinctively stepping back, while others clutched the hands of their neighbors. "We need to stand our ground," Mia shouted, her heart pounding. "We can't let them divide us. Think of the parade. Think of our stories, our connection." Amidst the tension and fear building in the square, a spark ignited in a few hearts. One by one, hands started to raise, voices began to blend, and small statements of strength echoed through the crowd. Their resolve flickered to life with shared laughter and quiet hopes. But the rumble grew louder, and Mia could see movement beyond the square's entrance, shadows gathering ominously. They were here. "Mia!" Alpha K's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back. "Stay close." She turned to him, a question rising in her throat. "What do we do?" With an intense gaze, he answered, "We prepare to fight for what we believe in." As Mia scanned the crowd, uncertainty twisted in her gut. Would they all stand firm against this potential storm? Would they come together in unity for their parade, their stories, their very existence? With a determined breath, she squared her shoulders, ready to forge ahead, into the unknown. But just then, a shocking thought flashed in her mind. If Alpha K had been right from the start, would understanding his true identity change everything for the community? What if he held the solution to their looming threat? And what unspoken truth lay behind the shadows watching them now? Mia stood at the forefront of the gathering square, her heart pounding like a drum, fear and hope colliding in a wild dance within her chest. The shadows loomed closer, threatening to engulf everything she and Alpha K had worked so hard to build. But it was now or never. "Everyone," she called out, her voice trembling but unwavering. "We are about to face something unknown. And yes, it's scary. But we are not alone." The crowd shifted uneasily but focused on her, their eyes reflecting a mosaic of fear, curiosity, and a budding determination. She could see the mix of community members, all feeling the weight of uncertainty. Yet, threaded through that anxiety was a current of resilience, sparked perhaps by their earlier discussions. "Look around," She continued, taking a step closer to Alpha K. Those of us gathered here share a bond, forged through our hopes and dreams for our town. Each of us carries a story that deserves to be told. That's our strength. Beside her, Alpha K's presence radiated a calming force. Mia is right, he interjected, his voice steady, calming the surf of uncertainty. We must lean into what makes us strong. We come from all walks and all hardships, but today, we redefine our story. Together. Murmurs of agreement thrummed through the square. The mayor stood behind them, his imposing figure lowering slightly, an ally now rather than just an observer. But the distant rumble grew closer. A worried expression crossed Sam's face, mirroring the unease creeping among the townsfolk again. Are they really going to try and hurt us? He looked to Mia for reassurance. I don't know, Sam. But if we hold tight to what we believe in and stand side by side, we can weather any storm. She wished she could convince him she had all the answers. As the shadows crept nearer, the shapes began to form a disparate group marching through the square. It was Zack and his friends, their faces contorted in anger and disdain, dismissing the vibrant tapestry of unity blossoming around Mia and Alpha K. Mia felt her heart sink. Zack, she called out, feeling the corners of her mouth tense. What are you doing? Just telling the truth. He shot back, defensive. You really think this guy belongs here? You're being naive. He gestured toward Alpha K, eyes sparkling with contempt but failing to shake the persistent ember of change kindling in the crowd. Naive or hopeful? Mia countered, stepping closer to Zack. You can see the difference in your eyes when you step away from anger to see unity. That's real strength. Zack's demeanor faltered, surprise flashing across his features. Meanwhile, murmurs flared again, the atmosphere lifting slightly as support blossomed among townsfolk. Let us show them. Mia seized the moment, glancing back at Alpha K. We'll organize this ceremony for all voices and raise each other up. Let us show Zack and this town what true community looks like. Zack scoffed, but deeper down, she sensed the tension in his posture softening. The crowd rallied behind her words, encouraged by Alpha K's steadfast presence. We deserve this, they shouted, the volume swelling with every heartbeat. Then something remarkable happened. One by one, people turned to face Zack and his friends, sharing their stories, each voice melting the icy barriers that had once divided them. The tale of the elderly vendor spilled forth. A story of pain transformed into triumph as he recounted moments of kindness from strangers, even when he thought he'd been lost to despair. Mia watched, emotions enveloping her. A ripple effect spread through the square, a beautiful tapestry woven from shared experiences, igniting heads nodding in agreement around her. Together, we can take small actions to protect each other, an older resident suggested, breaking the last wall of doubt as conversations sparked around the community center and bakery. We can show our support. Mia caught Alpha K's eye, and they exchanged grins, fellow sojourners hand in hand in this journey toward healing. Then suddenly, the shadows stepped rigidly forward, a skirmish line forming. Mia felt fear bubble back up. We're not alone, she whispered. Looking back to Zack, she implored him, stay with us. Just give this a chance. He hesitated, emotions bouncing through his eyes as he stood trapped between his past skepticism and this emerging tapestry of light before him. Unity, Alpha K called out. John, Elizabeth, Mia, all of us together. His voice resonated like thunder mixed with resolve. If we share our struggle, we can face anything together. And with that, the collective energy surged. Even Zack took a single step forward, tentative yet undeniably pulled by the gravity of hope. At that moment, the shadows scattered around them began to falter, retreating from the warmth that radiated from their union. The vibrations of community reverberated in the air, not just a single voice, but many, glittering like a million stars burning bright against the dark. Let us celebrate our strength, Mia shouted, the adrenaline rushing through her. Together, let us turn this ceremony into a beacon of hope, our stories, our struggles making our bonds unbreakable. And just like that, as they formed a circle with hands clasped tight, their laughter and cheers filled the air. They faced the newcomers, standing shoulder to shoulder. Mia felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, overwhelmed by their determination. They had risen together not just as individuals but a community redefining unknown futures. In that profound moment, hope surged, bursting forth a promise that this was just the beginning of their journey, marching toward brighter days ahead. Together, their voices could overcome any storm. And that was their truth, a fierce resolve echoing through the streets, vibrations weaving a brand new narrative for one and all. Now, before you leave, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these powerful messages. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Every action matters, and your support counts. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's keep this conversation alive.